In this video, I'm going to recap a bit on the point I explained in the blog post and give you maybe a little bit more advice and examples about how to answer questions confidently. So usually when you give a presentation or when you talk during a meeting and you know what you're going to say, you usually prepare quite well. And actually, answering the questions should also be prepared because it is a very important part of the whole performance. Actually, usually you're not sure what questions you're going to have, so answering questions is a lot more impromptu than repeating a presentation you have rehearsed 15 times. So if you come across confident and assertive when you answer questions, that will enhance your performance so much. So the first thing I want you to think about is, what do you want to achieve when you ask a question? Think about that for a minute. Usually, you ask a question, well, because you want an answer. Either you want a decision, a clarification, a commitment, you want to know more about a subject. So you ask a question because you want an answer, because you are curious. And that's what most people will do. So when you get an answer, it's usually because people are genuinely curious about the topic. So keep that in mind. Most people are not out there to answer questions to put you into trouble. Also, you will meet people like that. And I'll talk about this later in this video. So usually people are curious, which means that when you answer the question, you actually need to answer the question. It seems obvious, but how many times have you seen in meetings, in conferences, somebody answering with something that has the most thin, tangential relationship with the question itself? They just want to talk about that topic. So they just kind of put the question aside. Oh, and by the way, it makes me think of, and it's completely different. So never do that. Just answer the question. Okay, don't talk about anything else. Anything you say in your answer needs to add value. So if you don't answer the question, the person that has asked that question will not have the answer they want. So you do not add any value to them or to anybody else. Then before answering the question, just pause. Even if it's 1, 2, 3 seconds, not more, but just pause. Don't jump in. Really think about the question and say, okay, this is what I'm going to say about this question. Then, when we talk about the answer in itself, you will see a lot of advice saying, keep it short, keep it to the point, keep it concise. And it's true that in a lot of cases, that makes it clearer. If your answer is short, it's clear. And sometimes a yes or no will be enough. It may well be all what the person needs as an answer. So that might be the case. But actually, the type of your answer will depend on your audience. And you will see a lot of advice, keep it short, to the point, and things like that. Because most Western society work like that, basically. In most of our Western societies, we have agendas, we want to keep on time, keep to the point, move on, take actions, decisions, move on, and it's the same into answering questions. If you begin to, what people say, ramble, you will look kind of unprofessional. But this is not always the case. This only applies for audiences, cultures that expect a short, to-the-point answer. Some audiences will actually want a lot more background information. There will be more indirect and more high context audiences, cultures. And so a yes or no, or a very short answer to the point, you may think that it's absolutely appropriate, but to them, it is not. They feel shortchanged because they want more context. What will also be important for them will be everything that you do not say. So exactly what you do not say. What will be important is how you say it. So what you convey with your tone of voice, your body language, your facial expression, that will be very important. So don't forget, a good answer is only a good answer according to the person who has asked the question. So you need to adapt your answer to the expectations of your audience. Another point I want to cover is that it's okay if you do not understand an answer first time. We never understand everything first time. We can't do that. Sometimes there will be some noise or whatever circumstance around us which prevents us to fully understand what another person says. It may be not in your native language or whatever the reason. So if you do not understand the question, just admit it and just say, I'm not sure I have understood the question. I think what you're asking is, and you give your interpretation, what you think the question is. Am I correct? Is it what you're asking? That's how you ask for clarification. Don't just say, oh, can you repeat, please? Because you will have exactly the same words, which is not going to improve your understanding of the question. So that's a further point. Another point is, again, as you may not understand the question, and it's absolutely okay, it's all right, it's also completely all right not to know the answer to all the questions. Even if you are very knowledgeable in your own field, you cannot know 100%. So you will have questions where you realize you don't know, you don't have the answer. So in that case, never try to invent an answer. Never, never, ever do that, basically. People will always realize that the answer was incorrect, that you've guessed it. So that's definitely not the good thing to convey to people. So if you don't know the answer, just say it. I don't know the answer to this question. But then you have several options. You can say, okay, I'll look it up, and maybe we can discuss again later, or we can be in touch and can give you an answer about that. You can offer to discuss later, so it's not that you're coming with an answer again, but that you discuss the matter further offline after the presentation, after the meeting. A third option is that we can involve the audience. Okay, I do not know the answer. I could go look it up, but maybe there's anybody here in the room who has any idea about an answer? You can ask and see, it makes it interactive. So whatever option you choose, just admit you don't know the answer. So that was okay for the kind of relevant questions. But then you will have this kind of odd questions. So just like completely irrelevant. The question has absolutely no relationship with the topic that is being discussed. So in that case, and only in that case, I think you do not have to answer the question. And you can point that out. I'm not sure I understand what the relationship is with what we are discussing at the moment, but if you can explain that to me and answer the question. If, as I think it has no relationship for the matter being discussed, then I offer you to discuss that after the meeting, after the presentation, or whatever. This is how you deal with it, but you don't answer the question. Remember the point about adding value? If you begin to talk about something completely different, it doesn't add value. It may be interesting, that's not the point, but if it doesn't add value, just skip it and take it offline after the presentation, after the meeting, once it's all over. Then you will have at least once in your life somebody who, yes, I can say, is there to trying to get you, trying to find the awkward questions, to undermine you, destabilize you, to make you appear whatever stupid, unknowledgeable, unprofessional, whatever adjective you can choose. So in that case, try not to lose your composure. Just tell the person calmly how you felt about the question. And again, you can say, I'm not sure how that question contributes to the topic being discussed. And basically, just if the question is relevant, answer then after you've stated your point of how you feel about the question, answer it calmly. Don't escalate the situation, okay? You can kind of reply back. If somebody, for instance, tried to say that the data you presented are wrong or something like that, then ask a question back. Okay, so what do you think the right data are? Tell us, give us the right data then. And put the ball back in their camp. And usually if the person just wants to show off, they will back up quite quickly. If it turns out that they are right, well, just acknowledge it and thank them because they have made a valuable contribution at the end. So these were the points I wanted to recap in this video. Look at the point like posing, clarifying, dealing with difficult questions. Practice that with some friends, some family, some colleagues that you could do that with before you have to give a presentation in a conference or an official meeting. So if you follow all the advice I've given you, you then will be able to answer much more professionally, confidently, in a much more assertive manner, answering the question.